However, tapping into our own breath and just learning that there is much more than like keeping us alive and living in the survival mode, that brings a different element. And the breath knows exactly where to go and what to release and how to connect with our nervous system in order for us to feel safe and calm.
I'm Amy Woodall, and this is The Conscious Habit, a show from the People Forward Network. We're teaching you how to incorporate love and consciousness at work, at home, and the world at large. You just heard from Sepideh Eivazi, the founder of Dawn of the Earth. It's a wellness company that combines conscious breathing, somatic breath work with curated tea blends to awaken the senses. Seppi is a certified practitioner in somatic breathing. You'll hear more on that during our conversation. We also get into tapping, which I find super interesting. And something that she speaks to really well is that our bodies keep the score of trauma. And I love Seppi's take about how we can teach our bodies how to relax and release those trapped emotions by regulating our nervous system. She also takes us through some breathwork practices that can allow us to access our body's inherent wisdom. But before we dive into all of that goodness, let's hear her take on consciousness. Conscious Habit listeners, our expert on the show today is one I'm really excited to hear from, to learn from. The power of what she practices is so healing for the people who have a chance to experience it. And I had a chance to meet our guest today through a dear friend of mine, Sarah Reuter. Sarah is one of the geniuses behind the High Vibe Tribe retreats. She and her team help us create this magic by handling everything logistically. I could just sing her praises all day long about how she is like the fuel to this beautiful healing experience we have with High Vibe Tribe. She introduced me a couple of months ago to our guest we have on today, Seppi. Oh, Seppi, I am so excited to have you here on the Conscious Habit podcast and just geek out with you on so many things today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. I've been doing my meditation this morning and I was so tuning into this podcast and to my heart to share with your audience power of somatic breath work and how we can show up as a collective group and make this world a better place. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm so grateful for Sarah for creating this connection for both of us to impact and create.
And what a time it is for us to hold that heart center, to come together, to lean into healing for ourselves and for the collective. And so, yeah, I'm excited to just hear more about you and your path and how you got here, your story, how you were led to it. But I want to start off with that question that we ask every single guest. What does consciousness mean to you?
Ooh, I love this question. Consciousness means to me interrupting the automatic. And we live in this automatic, the world of automatics. We get up, we grab our phones, we go grab coffee. When we're driving, we're living in this hypnosis state of driving and not even paying attention. Consciousness means interrupting that pattern and get to the present moment. And I do have that practice every morning when I wake up. I choose 3 things that I do want to be conscious about. And through this practice, I am teaching my brain, I am teaching my body to be in the present moment. So for example, I go to the gym and I'm working out. When I'm lifting, I really feel the metal in my hand. When I'm driving, I feel the wheel, just bringing myself these tangible exercises that it would just bring me to the present moment and allow me to connect what is. And I get lost in the experience. When I am working out and just doing those lifts and just feeling the metal and just listening to my trainer and looking at myself in the mirror and just getting lost in the experience of being in that space of my Pilates, my yoga mat, when I'm doing downer dog or I'm doing some breath work, whatever it is, I interrupt the pattern of what's on my calendar versus what's in front of me. And today I'm going to share the 3 things that I have chosen today. Number 1 is my phone is basically consistent. Like not being distracted with my phone. So every time I'm driving and I grab that phone because there's a text that I just received, I call myself out and I said, Seppi, put that phone down. That has been amazing, that how I'm parenting myself and repatterning those habits. So the phone is definitely one of the big ones. The second one is every time I have a negative thinking that I'm able to catch, I replace it with a positive thought. So I definitely interrupt the pattern in that space. And I think this is not going to go the way I want. I would rewrite that story and bring that awareness to what message I'm sending to myself and how I can rewrite that story with something that it really feels good in my body. And I can just rewrite that story in that space. And the third one that I chose for today was drinking more water and keep myself hydrated. All these practices that we choose in order for us to be aligned, the more we practice them, the more alignment we bring. And I am reading this book with Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I'm listening to that book for, I don't know, the fifth time. And the more I listen to this book, it's just all about the emotions and consciousness. When we are not in that level of consciousness, when we're living in automatic, we're literally being numb to our environment. We're living in this space of going, doing, and there's no being. And I'm learning those by just bringing these awareness, these nudges that, oh, I grabbed my phone. Let me just put this back and focus on my driving. And we all do that. There's no shame about it. It's just more of like being more aware of what choices we make daily that our future self is going to be grateful in the future.
I love that, just holding space for what is, and even just being singularly focused. It is so easy for people to feel like they need about 3 or 4 things happening at any one time to keep them distracted. Like they are working out, but they're also on their phone. They are driving, but also they're answering the text. They have the TV on and they're scrolling through social media. So I think this agreement to ourselves, and I love your 3 agreements, your 3 sort of focuses that you have every day. To me, that's a love letter to you. What is one way that I can just like be present with a loving act for myself today, moving into intentionality and presence and awareness? I love that definition. What led you here? Can you kind of walk us along the journey of Seppi from where you started to where you are today?
The short answer is curiosity. I am very curious. I'm a curious learner. My full name is Sepideh. I'm Iranian, born and raised. I have been always a curious kid. I had so many questions about so many things. And my parents sometimes are like, we don't know. We don't know the answers. And as I stepped into my teenage years, I was still living in Iran and I started taking Carl Jung classes, which I had zero idea what they were talking about. I was just consistently going to these classes and not understanding what they were talking about. But it was an element of leadership, psychology. It was just some sort of interest. But in those era, like I didn't really know why I was attracted to that, but I was really attracted to that. When I was 20 years old, I moved to the United States and the journey began, I would say, in 2012 when I was in a relationship. And when I left that relationship, I just needed to find something to hang on to just find myself and reinvent myself. And I was in my 20s. And the first thing that came about was You Can Heal Your Life with Louise Hay. And that book changed my entire life. It just led me to a lot of places. I started practicing. And at the time, I was working at Bellagio and I was doing events, convention services, dealing with a lot of clients. It really mattered to me that I was not showing up only from a business aspect. I wanted to build deeper connection and relationships with people. And throughout my work and understand, one of the things that I really learned was a lot of us as a community, especially in business, people deal with a lot of stress and anxiety. And again, the curiosity of how do I tap into this? How do I tap into this? Then I got into different modalities, practice to just tap into my own full potential and learning about me and who I am as a human being. And also, I got my certification to become an EFT practitioner. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. The other terminology for that is tapping. It's an incredible way to rewrite your subconscious, to tap on certain meridian points in your body. And I started practicing that in my community with my event people, with my colleagues, with my peer. Like, how do we set the tone for the day? And I lived in Vegas for about 14 years. And in end of 2018, I moved to Los Angeles. And when COVID happened, during my practices in Vegas that I was doing EFT, and then I was curating my T glands and all these different modalities like Kundalini. I was listening to one of your podcasts. I love someone who spoke about Kundalini. I was just having all these body movements during my meditations, and no one was able to answer the question that what was happening. And I came across somatic breathwork. And again, my curiosity, like, what is this thing? How is this helping others to just release and why their body's just moving, and just tapped into that. I signed up for the course, got my certification, and I was blown away. I was blown away with the power of breath. I was blown away that how it was just changing lives. I was blown away that people were able to connect with their own inner medicine. I was blown away that how we can create space in our body and release, and just not living in the past and feeling stuck. Like, it just took me to the next level of existence. And I am so grateful for that experience. So I wanted to bring that to the world. Since I was a little girl, I always said I want to leave my mark on this planet. And my mark is going to be helping others and impacting others to feel their inner medicine, which is their breath, can change a lot of things with their nervous system, with what they want to create and who they want to be on this planet. And I feel very blessed. So Dawn of the Earth, Sepideh in English means dawn. And Dawn of the Earth was born during COVID when there were no events. And I chose to tap into this, start as a tea company. I started working with different farmers from different parts of the world. I was still practicing EFT. And then when I got into somatic breathwork, I combined it all. And this wellness company is basically introducing these modalities to the world, to helping others to tap into their fullest potential and expression and release what's blocking them to be who they are. We're all magnificent, extraordinary, beautiful human beings, and we all deserve to live freely. That's what I truly believe in my heart.
I love the journey of curiosity, probably for the outward world. And when you were connected with Carl Jung's, that forced curiosity of in the inside of like, what's happening in here? What is this? Why do I think that way? Why do I act that way? And then that sounds like it blossomed in your experience. I want to hear a little bit from you about EFT and then move into somatic breathing and what does somatic mean and why this healing from the body? Weren't we all taught that trauma is supposed to be healed from the mind? And I want to get into all of that, but can you walk us through what is something that people often kind of have head trash around or a blockage that they might use EFT for if they're curious?
So my sessions are customized, and I always talk to my clients to understand what they're really specifically going through. We're all so different, as much as we're all one and connected, but we have different experiences. And through my experiences, I just write personalized scripts for each client based on what they're going through. One thing that it's very common with people is the enoughness, that I am not enough, and self-love, lack of love for their own selves. Rewriting, just learning their stories, understanding like what they're telling themselves. And when we do EFT, we use positive and negative affirmations to rewrite the nervous system. And when we tap on these meridian points, we activate these meridian points, which they are directly connected to our subconscious. And each meridian point has its own meaning. We know exactly how to place the scripts. Where does that go? How many rounds we need to go in different parts? One of the things that I do every night, and maybe I would love to share that with your audience, that would be amazing. Every night when I go to bed, I start tapping on my heart chakra and I forgive whoever that I need to forgive. If you have said something to me that you annoyed me, if the register guy or the coffee shop person, or I was annoyed with a driver, I release them from my heart chakra. I just forgive them by just tapping on my heart chakra. And this is very, very powerful. I don't like to go to bed having any sorts of like resentment or sadness. But if we have these tools that we can replace them with better feelings and teach our body to feel better before we go to bed, why not? Why not to utilize that? And I just tap on them like, I forgive this person. Even sometimes we need to forgive ourselves.
I think a lot of times we have to forgive ourselves.
And one thing about tapping, you need to tap on these meridian points like you're tapping on a melon. Like some people, they're just tapping like this. They're very soft. It's not going to activate anything. You're tapping on a melon. You're just like really tapping hard to awaken these senses and connecting to these areas and just rewriting the stories. So when I feel like I am not the best that I can be, I start tapping and I'm like, I love you, Seppi. You are safe. And just tapping on my heart chakra and just repeating those. Whatever resonates with you, it's something that it really needs to resonate. To me, I think if that's how people are able to shift those patterns, just being able to find the sentences, the affirmations that really resonates with you. It's not something that you read on internet. That's why I create like those personalized scripts for them when you're just doing all these tapping and EFT, because it needs to resonate in order for each individual to be able to rewrite those stories. And we all can do that.
I love ego work of us just getting to know our ego, because the ego is not all bad. We can love our ego too, but just know that it doesn't need to be in charge of us. But I think those words, to your point, figuring out what resonates within your body and what is this scared part of me, this ego need to hear to just create some ease and let go of whatever story I'm holding on to. So I love that, the peace, the love, hey, it's safe. For me, my ego likes to control and it likes everything to work its way and exactly how it wants it to work, which control is an illusion, y'all. We have no control over pretty much anything except for ourselves and how we think, feel, and respond. That's about it. So I have to remind myself, like, you're safe to let go. The greatest good will be done. Trust that the highest good will be done to and through. I have to constantly remind myself of safe, trust, let go. I would love for our listeners to explore that. Like, what are the things that tend to hold your peace hostage, if you will? And is it in other people? Is it in certain situations? And then where does it come from? And what do you need to tell yourself? What are those meridians? Can you just walk us through those so that people can visualize and then do some more research and make sure that they connect to you if they're curious about this? What are the meridians?
Of course. So we start from the karate chop.
Okay. And that's on the hand, right?
Correct. And you can do like right or left, whichever hand is easier. You can take that hand. So meridian point and then eyebrows, between your eyebrows.
Kind of that third eye, if that's your jam, if you know that. Okay, between the eyebrows. Okay.
And then side of the eye, like right next to your eyebrow on the right or left side.
Okay, kind of temple.
Yes. Under the eye, where you have like your cheekbone, under the nose. Again, like tap hard enough that it's like tapping on a melon. Chin.
Under the chin. You guys can probably hear us in our tapping here. The chin, right below the lips, right on that chin.
Collarbone.
Yes. Okay. Collarbone.
These collarbones are very powerful. They're connected to our heart chakra and our throat chakra. So it just like creates a lot of like flow of energy under the arm and top of the head.
The crown. Okay. What does the mantra need to be as we're tapping these different meridian points? Where do we need to have both positive and negative things that we're essentially like commanding our nervous system and our mind and our subconscious through? And then how many patterns and times you need to do that is probably very specific to the person. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely. Self-confidence is another one. A lot of people that they want to do public speaking, they use tapping to just calm their nervous system through tapping. It's very powerful. I love this because everyone can do that like for 5 minutes. They can start their day during the day. If you feel anxiety, if you feel anxious, if you need to just have a kick-ass call before your call, you can take 5 minutes to just regulate yourself and get yourself in that mindset.
I love these different tools too, because different things speak to different people, right? there is not one thing that's like, this is the one thing that's for you forever and always, because we are drawn to different things and we do need different modalities, different tools. And I love that this tool is out there. It's very accessible. You could do it from anywhere. You could do it, I hate to say driving down the road because we want you to be safe and we want your attention and focus to be all in, but you don't have to be in just some sort of quiet setting. You could execute this anywhere. So this work in EFT sounds like it opened up this connection to the body. And then the somatic breathing, the somatic breath work took that to another level. So can you explain to us, what does soma or somatic, what does that mean?
Absolutely. Soma means body. And the best way to explain somatic breath work is regulating your nervous system. The way you show up for your nervous system, the way you connect with your nervous system, and the way you're able to clear and create space in your body. So when I learned about somatic breathwork, like I said, I had a lot of movements throughout my meditations and I never knew what they meant. Every single healer or practitioner or whoever I worked with, they had their own philosophy of what that was, some positive, some negative. I was freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? And somatic really gave me the clarity that the intelligence of our body. The first half of the session when I work with my client, it's the expression time that we allow the body to express. Some people move their body like I do. That's how the energy is flowing in our body. And some people cry. Some people do nothing. Some people stay where they are. Some people scream. Some people start like sharing words. And there is no judgment. It's just feeling safe in that environment because a lot of us, we are traumatized in so many different ways. And trauma doesn't have to be a war zone. Trauma can be an incident, an experience that really impacted us deeply. And our nervous system showed up to protect us from that experience. So when we experience trauma, we operate from a place of fight, flight, or freeze. How many times you experience, or I experience, or many of the audience who are listening, that somebody's talking to you and you froze. Like you don't even know how to react. It's just how the body is just reliving some of those experiences that it had in the past. And I would like to refer to Gabor Mate because I really believe in his work when it comes to trauma work, that he says trauma is something that happened inside of you. But we choose to stay with that. We choose to stay with that yesterday or what happened. So when we are experiencing certain things, and our body's reliving those experiences, we choose that fight, flight, or freeze to protect our nervous system. What somatic does, it would allow us to express our body instead of holding on to all these emotions and staying in that state of yesterday. It allows the energy to move and leave our body. Animals also do the same thing. They shake it off and they move. We tend to hold on because we don't know how to release that. Somatic is so beautiful for multiple reasons. One of the things that I really love about it is it connects you with your inner medicine, which is your breath. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a status. We all have the breath equally. It's not related to your race, religion, skin color, where you're born, like none of that. We all have this beautiful medicine within us that can help us. So when I'm working with my client, I always ask them to imagine like a vacuum that is just like sweeping out all these blockages, whatever they want to release with the rhythm of the breathing and also the music that I play. So the space that I create, like the music is so powerful. Again, like when you're breathing in those high vibes music and just like getting to your body and just moving things around, like rewriting the nervous system and allowing the energy to flow, it's a beautiful place to be. And the other part of the session is about repatterning the nervous system and teaching the body to operate from a place of calmness and regulated state of emotions. For the first half, which is mouth breathing, we are going deep to release whatever is just holding us back. And whenever we feel stuck, what do we want to create? We're so hard on ourselves as a community, as a society, especially like the type A, the overachievers. And there's no space to create when we are in that space of being. And when we connect to our breath and release all these blockages and teach the body to operate from a place of like regulated state of emotions and calmness, That's where we feel free. That's where we're really connected to our true essence. And that's where I see like creation happens. You have no idea how many times I worked with clients that they came in and they were sad and depressed and gloomy and confused and whatever adjectives you want to add to that. And after this session, they had this clarity. I could see them light in their eyes. I could see them that they found their own light and essence. And they're like, I'm going to go start my business. I'm going to go and create what I love. I'm not stuck with my job. I'm not stuck with my story. I'm not stuck with my past. I'm not stuck with my relationship. Like it's just connecting them to their inner being. And what a beautiful place to be. Like I feel so grateful to hold space for them. But at the same time, like every time we go through these experiences, we're all healing collectively as a community because we're all like being in our own lights and we can just share the message with others.
For listeners, where I want to kind of help your minds go is if you've ever been in a place where you're like, I'm really stuck, or I feel like I should be somewhere else, but I don't know what to do, or I'm feeling just overwhelmed and stressed all the time and I don't know why. I really can't get along with this person. I don't know why. Some of these patterns that we're experiencing, we don't have real clarity of why they're there. We often want to go to the mind for solution when in truth, it could be a stuck point in the body. And I think we often like just forget about the body. We forget that emotions are meant to be felt and that they're meant to be kind of move through us. And we, I think, are conditioned, especially here in the US, that knowledge fixes everything and it don't. Okay. We need deeper levels of wisdom and deeper levels of connection. And so looking into or working through something like somatic breath work, deep breath work can help you release things that you might not even be aware of. Is that true, Seppi, that like people could start this not even knowing what their blockages are, what their traumas might be, because it could have been, I love that Emily Fletcher, who we had on the podcast back in May, says a dog could have barked in your face when you were 3. And like that could have created a trauma response that you're unaware of. When you're working with people, do you see that there is a good portion of people who are like, I don't know what's stuck and I don't know what needs healed, but it's something, versus people who are like, I know exactly what I need to heal? Do you find people are more in the I don't know, but they discover it, or are they in the certainty?
I always ask them what their intention is for the session. And they can have any intention that they want to have for the session. And I always honor their intentions during the session because that's what they want to get out of the session. And they always get that. But when we start doing the breath work, the breath knows exactly where to go in the body and what to release. That's the intelligence of our breath. I am so fortunate that I am one of the members of Global Wellness Institute, and I sit with many amazing breathwork practitioners. And we work with doctors, scientists, researchers, and we talk about the power of breath. And we're really working tirelessly to bring this breathwork element to medical system, to mental health, to work with patients instead of like medicating people with all these type of painkillers, which again, I'm not against any medical support, like where it needs to happen, it needs to happen. And I appreciate all the doctors out there working so hard to keep us safe and help us to treat those illnesses that we have, whatever it is. However, tapping into our own breath and just learning that there is much more than like keeping us alive and living in the survival mode, that brings a different element. And the breath knows exactly where to go and what to release and how to connect with our nervous system in order for us to feel safe and calm. So I was talking to one of these doctors who is actually a heart surgeon. And he was sharing this with me that how he, in his practice, before the surgery, has these practices, the breathwork practices with his patients to help them to stay calm and connect to their heart center. That itself tells me a lot that how we're just underestimating the power and intelligence of our body. Our body is our temple. It's not only that we eat and we just put whatever in our body, it's just really connecting to our inner self and understanding that my body, like with all the illnesses that we experience in certain point of time, it has its own brain. It has its own way of being. And we neglect our body in so many ways, thinking that, oh, it's my body. No, your body speaks to you every morning. Every night when you go to bed, I check in with myself. How did you do today, Seppi? How did you do? How did I take care of my body and really stay connected to my body? And that's the part that when we connect with the breath work, this is a way of connection, talking about consciousness, conscious breathing, moving ourselves from shallow breathing to conscious breathing. That would shift chemistry in your body. It would start producing different hormones when you're really connected to that breath through meditations, through stillness. And like with the stillness, I would go back again because I don't think we can ever be still. We're always like everything is just flowing and moving within us, but pausing maybe. When we pause and connecting to that breath, that flow, it brings a lot of wisdom. There's so much wisdom in our body. And I have seen it many, many times that people came in with like back pain, headaches, anxiety, heartache, etc., etc. And in that space, when we get really connected to the breath, the body knows exactly where to go and release the pain and let it go. I get a text the next day, oh, Seppi, thank you so much. My back pain is gone. And I'm like, I wonder why. What emotion are we holding on to so tight that it's hiding in our body? And the breath can be like a catalyst to move that from our body.
You're right. It is its own intelligence system. It has insights. If we give it the space to be heard, we have better intuition, we have better decision making, and there are lots of things that can be healed along the way. Gosh, I'm grateful to have known and met people like you, Seppi, who have helped me with this, because I have often gone to the mind thinking all of my answers are going to be here, but you hit stuck points because our body is a big part of our subconscious mind, is like all of this hardwiring that's happened throughout our entire space, right? Mind, body, spirit, it's all connected. So anything else like trauma oriented, breathwork oriented for people who are listening right now, is there a simple recommendation you could give to them, even just to be better breathers? I know that somatic breathing goes into a very specific sequence and length and type of breathing. But you mentioned most people are shallow breathers. We're so damn disconnected. I find myself there too. What do we do? How do we breathe better?
One thing I want to share, which has been very helpful for me personally, is just learning to relax into your heart. And what you just mentioned about like being in your head, by relaxing to your heart, the best way is just to put your hand on your heart and think about something that really brings you joy and calmness. So I'll give you an example. For me, cuddling with my mom, it gives me a sense of safety, love, being present. And every time I close my eyes and imagine myself like cuddling with my mom, my entire body feels amazing. Like imagining cuddling with my mom, my body starts like reliving that experience. As much as we teach our body to relive negative experiences, we are able to teach our body to live positive experiences. So I'm really focused on that, to unlearning and relearning and teaching the body how to relax into that space. Some people think about their dogs, their children, their vacation, sands, ocean, nature, whatever it is, just relax into your heart. And in that space, like I always put my hand on my heart, because when our hearts are synced, we move faster. We really move faster. We're not holding back because your heart knows. How many times you've heard this? I know. It's not like your brain knows. You know, your heart knows.
One thing that I always think is very fascinating is there's no such thing as heart cancer, which think about that. You can have cancer pretty much anywhere in your entire body. Never does it attack the heart. It's its own like neurointelligence in the heart that like even science is like, we don't really completely understand it. It's not the same as like brain and gut cells, where we see that there's neurons in the gut that mimic the neurons in the brain. So we know that gut brain health are really important and highly linked, but they don't even know exactly what this intelligence system is. And so for you, this connection, I know you keep mentioning connection to the heart. And I say, love, I put that shit on everything. It's like hot sauce. I put that shit on everything. But For listeners who are a little bit like, love, especially here, like I feel like love, we feel like it has to be earned and it's for those romantic relationships. And I think it's just like we need to rebrand that love is acceptance and okayness and openness and surrender. And love is trust. And there's so many really beautiful things that fall under love that it doesn't include making out with someone. So when you go straight to the heart, what is it there for you that you're seeking? What is it that the heart provides for you that you know you cannot get from the mind?
Enoughness, that I am just enough in this space where I am, what I am, who I am. And that's why I go to that space with my mom, because when I'm with my mom, I'm enough. I am completely enough. And there's no judgment. I don't have to overachieve for my mom. I'm just in that space of pure love with her. And I see that a lot of people experience that with their dogs or with their cats or with whatever animals that they have. There is no expectation to be a certain way. And that's why I share this with the audience, because when you're getting to that space of like love and kindness, that you're receiving that unconditional love, then your body drops in, and that's where the breath comes to play. That's where, like, first I get my body to that space of like love. Where do I find this love and calmness? Sometimes, like, I just came back from Marco Island and I was in love with this place and I was just like swimming in the ocean. And sometimes I think about that space, being in the water or walking on the sand, or like, people have different experiences and it has different meanings for them. That's why I said it's such a personal experience. And we all have that space. If we really dig deep, I always ask my Uber drivers, where's your happy place? And they just share like random, awesome, beautiful things with me that it's so inspiring to hear that, well, everyone has that space. We just need to ask the question and you'll find that. Connect with that space. That space is going to take you to places because your body feels safe. The whole thing is about the safety of the body. When we're safe in our body, we're safe in our mind. We're not overthinking. We're not overanalyzing. And then we can easily connect to our breath. Then we're not like in our shallow breathing. We're able to start breathing with like regulated state of being. So what I would like to suggest to help everyone, and you can add this to your morning ritual, night ritual, midday ritual, whatever works. You're driving and you're behind the red light. You're sitting in the waiting room, whatever it is, take 5 minutes every day. And I do 10 mouth breathing, deep inhale from the mouth. Keep your spine straight. Just sit straight. Deep inhale from the mouth. Deep exhale from the mouth and release all the way from like solar plexus and let it all out. And drop your shoulders. It's literally right underneath your heart chakra where you just put diaphragm. Yes, where that is. And sometimes I press that space. I just press it hard to release it. So that's another way of bringing awareness to your body. So deep inhale from the mouth. Put your hand under the heart, the diaphragm, and push it all out. And drop your shoulders.
And how many times did you say we should do that?
10.
10 times.
Start with 10.
Okay.
And when you finish mouth breathing, we're going to do deep inhale from the mouth and hold it on top of your head and stay with it as long as you can and as long as your body allows. So this is where we're bringing awareness to the body. Deep inhale from the mouth. Hold on top of your head. Stay with it. Stay with it. You got to stay with it. You are not going to let your body trick you. Your body's going to be like, I can't hold anymore. Yes, you can. You stay with it as long as you can. And you release it all the way through the belly and let it all out. Release.
I love breath holds too. There is just incredible energy that comes after doing it, releases. Like there have been times I just can feel like tears coming out of my eyes and it's like stress leaving the body, right? Your body is just like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you for the breathing. I needed that. And I love what you're sharing with people. Like in these breaths, it's intentional. You're connecting to your breathing, but you're breathing in from like the belly, like fill the belly up, right? The belly first and then the chest. And when we're shallow breathing, we're just breathing into the chest and we're missing that opportunity to like really fill our lungs.
So we do mouth breathing, we do the hold. So the mouth breathing basically is the expression side. We're putting the body from sympathetic through parasympathetic. Mouth breathing, and then the hold. And then the second half is nose breathing. Deep inhale from your nose and deep exhale from your nose. So deep inhale from your nose, deep exhale from your nose. That's how you're rewriting your nervous system. The more you practice this, the more you stay in this space. And then you can just keep building, like you can elevate 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and just keep prolonging this practice. But mouth breathing, hold, nose breathing. That's how we create this cycle of calmness and regulated state of being. Try it. Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes before you start your day, middle of the afternoon. I think afternoon can be really good, especially like y'all get the 2 o'clock slump where you're like, my brain is tired. It hurts. I really want coffee. To do breath work instead, it's so much better than coffee. Sepi, anything else that you want our listeners to just know about this work or the work that you're doing in the world?
Yes, I would love to share that I am in a process of producing my TEDx. I will be speaking more and more about somatic breathwork. I see myself as a visionary leader. I see myself as an educator. And it is very important for me to be able to provide the support for everyone on this planet. I don't want anyone to feel alone in this world. The loneliness that we experience in 21st century has been worse than smoking cigarettes. There are evidence about it. We're crying in our closet. We are afraid to share. And I want to be that person for people to know that I'm here to love on you, to support you, to be there for you. And you're not alone in this journey. We're all going through this together. And we're always better together. Let's just create that space. And I want everyone to feel inspired and feel moved and touched by just being connected to their own inner medicine. We're not victims in this world. We all have power and choices. And it took me a while to learn that I'm not a victim. But when I tapped into like my own potential and strength, I feel amazing. And I want everyone to feel that way. That's why I speak about this. And I'm really grateful for you, Amy, for creating such beautiful platform for people like me to be able to share our wisdom and create that space for others to know that there is hope, there is love, there is support, there is unity, and we are all better together at the end of the day when we show up and open our hearts.
I love that. I love the work that you are doing in the world. There's so many of us that are being called to do this conscious work in different ways and help heal ourselves and other people. Here's the thing. We're supposed to enjoy the ride. We are. We're supposed to enjoy the ride. Whatever we can do to love ourselves, love other people, and have a hell of a lot of fun. That's the mission that I have in life. And the goal when we bring experts like yourself on is how do we just get closer to that. So where can our listeners find you?
They can find me on dawnoftheearth.com, DAWN of the earth.com, or my Instagram handle is the same, Dawn of the Earth. And you can message me. I answer all my messages on Instagram. And also I check all my emails. I answer everyone. Sometimes I'm a little slow, like if I'm traveling, but I will get back to you. And if you have any questions, if you need any support, whatever that I can help and support the community, I'm here to share my light because we all need, like you're sharing your light with the world as much as I'm sharing my light. And it's so incredible to know that people are reaching out and participating in life. That's where we can create a difference. Participate in life.
Thank you, Sepi. I hope our listeners come and find you and follow you and dig into EFT and somatic breathing and healing. Thank you for the difference you're making in the world. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Amy.
Before we wrap up this episode, here are my 3 takeaways from Sepideh and how we can incorporate them into our lives. Number 1, our breath is medicine. Whenever we feel overwhelmed, low energy, disconnected, we're in a negative space, someplace we don't want to be, whether it's mind, body, spirit, we can go to the breath. Calm, simple breathing can help de-escalate the nervous system. Faster breathing can help excite the nervous system. Long periods of breathing can help oxygenate the brain and the body and begin to move energy throughout. The breath is really powerful. There are some incredible books on this subject that I encourage you to check out. Number 2, energy flows through our meridian points. Do you know what they are? Do you regularly balance or connect to yours? Do you know how to keep them open? This is the work that we are able to do at our retreats. Desiree Garcia and I do in the High Vibe Tribe retreats. I love that Seppi is doing this work in the world. We need tons of practitioners who are helping people understand where and how energy emanates beyond ourselves. And so pick up a book on chakras, listen to a podcast, ping Seppi, pick her brain, pick my brain. I am happy to share with you some of the practices that I personally use and that we also coach our High Vibe Tribe through. Number 3, our bodies can relive. It can relive pain and sorrow and struggle and challenges. And it can also relive joy and happiness and peace and celebration. And through some conscious choosing, we can lean into the reliving the good stuff more often and allowing ourselves to grieve and let go of some of those negative things. By the way, we relive these things every day. They come out in our patterns, as we talked about in Judy Kane's episode, that, our whole life is all about patterns, and this reliving happens over and over and over again, and we have a chance to choose and lean into. So for this moment, for this hour, for today, how can you relive more joy? Thanks for listening to the Conscious Habit Podcast. If you dug this episode, we'd love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you're into this consciousness thing, if you like this conversation and you want to meet more like-minded people, head on over to Facebook and join the Conscious Habit community. Until next time, do the world a favor and go love yourself.